So, first challenge in this commercial awareness project issued by Tesla is to understand and research the industry as a whole. So this is where we're going to look at the macro picture. Macro just means big, so don't sweat the details at this stage. So there's a couple of resources to think about. First off, every employer is going to want to know that you've taken the time to learn about who they are as a company, who their competitors are, how they make money, and what factors are at play both politically and socially that can impact their business. That's how you can evidence your commercial awareness. So there's three really simple resources first off. Goes without saying, the first thing you should be doing is looking at the organization's website themselves. You'll find lots of interesting information here and something you want to make sure that you can come back to and be up to date with. You can go to a news section or a blog, which we'll look at later. But first off, if we want to think about more macro, then what we would want to do is first off, go and create a Google alert. So if you just go and actually Google Alerts, you'll find a link to this. And this is where you can really easily search in, pop in here what exactly it is you want to learn about. So if I put in Tesla, and I want to say, okay, how often do I want to get this? So you can choose how often you want to be notified. You can have a maximum once a day, once a week, or just live as it happens. I'm going to say once a week, so I get a good roundup of information. So you can select some of the resources here. I'm going to press Create Alerts, and now I'll get alerts for any time that Tesla is mentioned in Google News. So that's going to be a really useful resource for you. Secondly, is a platform called Owler. So you can create a free profile on Owler, and I'll log into my existing one. And what this does is it gives you a lot of the information that you would need to evidence your commercial awareness in one place. So I can very quickly in here search for an organization. I'm going to select Tesla, and what it will then show me is some of the overall information I may want to know. So I can quickly navigate and see what's their current state, what are some of the key events that happened, what companies are similar to Tesla, their competitors, where they're at financially. So a lot of the top level information that if you were to mention or reference a couple of items of information from a page like this, you can pretty quickly show an employer that actually you have taken the time to think and learn about the employer, what sector they're in, who they compete with, and what's important to them. Okay, so now we've researched the industry. What we now want to do is actually research Tesla themselves plus their competitors. So the things that we want to find out to be able to evidence our commercial awareness is, how do Tesla make money? How's that different from some of their competitors? What patterns are happening for Tesla's market at the moment? And what gaps are there that we can see right now? So again, how I would approach this is keep it simple. What we want to try and always evidence here is knowledge, but top level knowledge. You'll never be expected to know the ins and outs of all the different machinations of how a company makes money. But being able to evidence that you understand from the top level is really important. So there's a couple of resources for you to use. First off, you'd be amazed how much you can find just by Googling Tesla plus business model, Tesla plus mission statement. So to give you a quick idea, I went and said, okay, I went into Google, what does Tesla's business model? And I found a really interesting article here where it gives us a pretty up-to-date was the first thing. It was updated in July of this year, so we know it's relevant and it's fresh. So some of the key takeaways here are really interesting. And this is what I mean by being able to talk about top-level information that can help guide the conversation you have with an employer. So we can understand that Tesla's business model is based on direct sales and service, not franchise dealerships. And that's really different from some of its competitors. So the likes of BMW, organizations like that who do franchise dealerships. Tesla's business model pays particular attention to rolling out charging stations. So this can be really interesting because we know that can lead us to think about Tesla's business model being really future focused and being a move away from fossil fuels, for example. And lastly, Tesla stretched the business model to encompass energy storage systems for homes and businesses. So we can learn a bit more about that. You can Google it in your own time and have a look, but that's where Tesla is starting to provide batteries and rechargeable batteries to power people's residential homes. So you can read this article and pick out some key elements as to what might be interesting for you. If there's one particular thing that you find really interesting, then focus on that. If you can find something that you are genuinely excited about from doing some research like this, that's what you should focus on. So we had to look at Tesla's business model. We could then also look at their vision and mission statement. It's important to evidence to an employer that you have taken the time to understand that. An employer will want to know that you understand what the mission and vision statement of their organization is and whether you are going to resonate with your values. So here's something really quick. I went through to Google. It's really simple to do it. Tesla plus mission statement is normally how to find it. And it's again got some kind of little snippets that you can take out here. So you can see their vision is to create the most compelling car company of the 21st century. They do that by accelerating the advent of sustainable transport. So again, thinking about what that means in today's market, less reliance on fossil fuels, more focus on reliable, renewable energy. So you can also then say, okay, well, that's who Tesla is and that's how they make money. This is their mission statement and their vision. Who are their competitors? So if we go back to the platform we created a profile on earlier, Owler, you can quickly go and say, okay, let me have a look at Tesla's profile. What I'll then do is use this tab here to say, okay, show me a couple of competitors. And on this page, I can quickly see, okay, who are some of the organizations that I should go and have a quick look at? So the basic principle you just applied to Tesla, having a look at their mission statement, having a look at their business model, and thinking about who their competitors are. If you were to select one or two organizations from this list here and do the same principle, arm yourself with that knowledge and have one or two key statements of differentiation between the two organizations, you'll be able to really clearly show the employee you're speaking to that you understand how their organization makes money, who their competitors are, potentially suggest some gaps in the market as you see them. Final challenge in preparing yourself to be commercially aware for Tesla is to have a think and some research about what are the economic, social, and technological factors happening in the world at the moment that can impact Tesla's business model and their ability to make money. So again, put yourself in the employer's shoes. How can you show that you can quickly say, here's one threat I've identified that you are facing as an organization, and here's what I could suggest as an option to think about. So the first thing we need to do is to understand how do we go about finding that information out. So you can find that through a blend of different ways. First off, by looking at the alerts that you receive from the Google systems that you set up earlier, you can see if there are any trending topics that are affecting that organization. Luckily, in this case, at Tesla, Elon Musk tends to make some pretty interesting decisions that have pretty big impacts on his company fairly often. So there are some interesting things that you can look at pretty quickly. So what I did is I went away and actually, again, used good old reliable Google to say, okay, let's have a look at economic and social factors affecting Tesla. That was my search term. And I really quickly found this result, which was a website with actually all the information that I would possibly need to be able to evidence to their organization that I've got the information at hand. So the first off, we can see what are the political factors affecting Tesla. And some of this is not rocket science. I mentioned at the start that actually a lot of this stuff people do innately, you just don't know. So if I said to you, what's unique about a Tesla car, probably the first thing that you would say is, well, they're all electric. So if we think about that in a political sense, then we know that governments around the world want to incentivize electric cars to be able to protect the environment and avoid the climate crisis. So we know that there's political appetite as an opportunity for more electric vehicles to be around the country. Even in the UK, we know when we hear about the government's drive to install more electrical charging points. We can then think about economic factors. So what other opportunities and or threats could Tesla face when thinking about their economic impacts in the world? So first off are the costs related to deliver their goods. So it's getting cheaper to produce their batteries. It's getting cheaper to produce renewable energy. However, economic instability, in particular when you think about today's world, things like the war in Ukraine and a post-COVID pandemic world, those are threats to Tesla's economic model. They rely on forward-thinking, long-term solutions to energy. Fossil fuels, unfortunately, right now present a short-term easy fix. So that could be an economic threat that you could talk to Tesla about. Further other options that you can look at when you get more into the social or social cultural factors at play for Tesla, the increasing popularity of low carbon lifestyles. We know there's a drive towards eating less meat, being a more responsible global citizen. So does that actually provide an opportunity for Tesla in the way that they approach their customers? Potentially, yes. So you can also then look at the Tesla's own newsfeed on their platform if you want to have a look at, what are they saying about what's happening. So there's some interesting things in here if you want to pick out one thing that could be of interest to you to talk about what's happening at a global scale at Tesla that's having an impact on the way they do business. It's another really good resource to use. You've got both things that are press releases, you've got videos, and you've got blogs. So you can have a look through all of those. Final bit of advice, keep it simple. Select one or two really key, powerful statements for each of the elements that we've been through today, and you'll be able to really easily show an employer that you're commercially aware and have taken the time out to understand them and their business. Remember, ask questions of the employer, keep it simple, do your homework, and show you're working.